everybody, and welcome to 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. I am Connor Listoka, joined by Mike Nelson, as we dive into our second episode about Andy Weir's Artemis, the follow-up to his best-selling, beloved, Oscar-nominated book, The Martian.
I'm just looking at my notes right now. I wrote the title for my notes is The Martian Episode 2. That's how much I wanted it to be. I did not read The Martian, so fear not. I just somehow those things are mixed up in my head, as you might understand.
Yes, definitely. And, I don't know if I'll have time to get to this, but we have some people who have written in that are maybe reevaluating their relationship with the beloved Martian in the light of...
Well. A little, man, the Klein things keep coming up.
It does. So they maybe have gone back to it and said, like, I guess... maybe the signs were here all along. Maybe this guy was telling us who he was in this first book, and we were just too caught up in the epic awesome sauce of it all to really realize in the moment. But Weir, has made some choices in this book that I think we've disagreed with, to put it lightly. But we always tease the people who don't read along with this.
Yes.
Because they're going in, they're just missing out on some of the full picture, I guess, for the comedy we're trying to present here. But man, do I envy them for this section, because we've got something coming up in this episode that it just one of the biggest unforced errors, I think, in a book that we've ever encountered, and I envy people who are going to experience us talking about it for the first time.
I got near this analogy before we started recording, but you know how you hire the star quarterback or something, you get him in the first round, and everyone's happy, like, holy cow, this guy is throwing darts, like you're going to lead the team. And then like 3 days later, they discover, oh, he has a tweet from a year ago where he's like, Hitler had some good ideas. You're like, how did you not, the signs, you have, how much time do you have? You're like bringing him into the doctor and like x-raying his inner knee 17 times. And you can't just have some schlub go, hey, would you check out his Twitter account? Like, yeah, there's some pretty rough stuff on here. Like this is that kind of a thing where you go like, we're all excited about Andy Weir. Oh my God.
Well, I think that's a very good tease. Hitler had some good ideas. Is it is not that, but it's just as exciting, I would say. Before we get to that, we had a fun email from a listener who wrote this in, and I wanted to make sure we got it on here as opposed to reading it. Not because we probably won't have time for it. We'll see how much we discuss. But this is from John, and he wrote in, reading these last books back to back, which was obviously Garrett P. Service's Edison's Conquest of Mars, got me thinking, what if their authors switched places? What if Edison was written in the style of a 2010s edgy Redditor, and Artemis was written in the style of an 1890 old-timey guy? So John did a little fan fiction here.
Please tell me that he wrote, I think it would go a little something like this.
Yeah. So here's Edison's Conquest of Mars by Andy Weir. Eddie, you have got to be kidding me, I said. You call that thing a disintegrator? Edison's device looked like something straight out of a Duck Dodgers episode. What was his plan? To defeat the Martians by making them laugh to death? That's a big nope from me. He rolled his eyes and said, allow me to demonstrate. Then he spun a dial on the side of the weapon and aimed at a nearby crow. Feathers, said Edison, have a vibration period of 386 million per second. He fired and the crow's feathers vanished. Yeah, that'll sure be useful, I said. If the Martians are birds that need plucking. Edison raised a finger. Crow feathers are just one of its many vibration settings. The frequency for Martian flesh should be easy to tune for. How about a vibration of 69 million, said Sylvanus P. Thompson. The frequency for your mom. It's eerily easy to replicate, I suppose, if you just hit yourself in the head with a hammer for a couple minutes and lower your IQ.
Real or fanfic does not bode well for me that this can roll off of people's pens. Not saying there was a good effort put into it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And here's Artemis by Garrett P. Service. It starts with a little bold subchapter headings. A reusable condom. It was a reusable condom. The wizard had, some days ago, confided me that he had developed a contraceptive device by which he would revolutionize Artemis's economy of marital pleasure. Explaining the details of its mechanism would hardly interest the reader. In simple terms, its primary feature operated by contorting it inside out and fixing it within a cylindrical apparatus. This utilized the electric energies that were plentiful on the moon and by thus sterilized the latex so as to be fit for reuse. Now, seeing that the opportune time had presented itself, he revealed this invention to the public. "By the sword of Damocles," I ejaculated, "you have done it again!" Words cannot describe the joyful clamor that rose through the Selenite city as people heard this news. "Svoboda has once again saved us," was their cry. "We will no longer need to spend 10,000 slugs on disposable condoms, and instead we will enjoy our carnal activities with the aid of a single reusable device."
That's beautiful.
That's Artemis by Garrett P. Service. So, that's
and you know, points for getting
be a good use of.
Yeah, there's points for using he ejaculated in.
Yes, very much.
Very good points.
So yes, well done, John. That is highly appreciated. If anyone else wants to rewrite other books in the style of Artemis, I think that could be a fun exercise. But we have a lot of bad moon writing to get through. So, do you want to recap us about where we've ended up here so far? How we got here for the first 3 chapters?
Yeah, we're on the moon in 2080. The moon city, Artemis, looks exactly like something from a sci-fi book. Domes and tunnels, and I don't think this has been mentioned before, but the gravity is 1/6 that of the Earth.
Yes. Maybe it was in a footnote. Now that you mention it, I tend to ignore those.
It comes up again like a double elimination thing, where because I still can't understand. But and our hero, heroine, Jasmine, I assume, a Saudi Arabian girl of indeterminate age, but probably 22, if I had to guess.
Yes, early 20s. Yep.
Okay. She is a smuggler under the guise of a delivery person, and she has been approached by
Tron.
What is his analog in real life?
Just Moon, Elon Musk, Moon
Zuckerberg,
Elon Musk. Just a rich guy up there who's building an empire but wants more still.
Smoking illegal and illicit cigars in his oxygen-fueled chamber. Gives her a job offer to despoil the equipment of a competing harvesting team.
Mm-hmm.
A glass harvesting? Is that what it is?
Rock harvesting that then I think you use to make or smelt it into maybe metal or, it could be glass.
A byproduct of which is the oxygen, which is used to fuel. So he's making a move to take it over, and he hires a 22-year-old smuggler who occasionally brings him cigars.
Yes.
So that's where we are, and she is putting her plan in motion.
She is putting her plan in motion, and she will refer to it by a variety of things. But Chapter 4 wakes up with her with this exchange, which is just a great reintroduction to the writing style of the author. It says, "The next morning, I woke up naked in a plush, comfortable bed. No, there wasn't anyone with me. Get your mind out of the gutter." So he makes a habit of sort of introducing like a joke and then negating it in the thing, and like it's
and shaming us,
right?
Like
exactly.
he writes in the style of a 10-year-old. Then when we read it and go, "Ugh, 10-year-old joke," and then he goes, "I'm not talking about that, you idiot." You're like, okay, 10-year-old, you got me. I guess I don't know what is this game.
Right, yeah, he's Rick-rolling the audience, which I would not be shocked if comes up later in the book somehow on the moon.
Let's put odds on that. I'm certain that's going to come up.
But it's also like, what my mind in the gutter, the primary theme of the moon has been, one, how promiscuous this young woman is, and two, like how big of an industry prostitution is on the moon. So it's the gutter is a place that you have like lowered us in a mine cart to, my friend.
Yes.
Like
that is what he's wanted us to think about pretty much the first 3 chapters. So but it turns out she is luxuriating in a hotel.
Yes,
that costs 2,000. It says 2,000 G. Is that slugs?
I guess that's the icon for slugs. Sure.
Okay, all right, I'll accept it. But then does this thing. This is the writing style of our author, and you're going to have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I lay back on the bed Jazz never wanted to leave and let my mind wander. Turn that into a proper noun. The fact that my monitor is still on my desk and wasn't tipped over and shattered is a testament to my ability to withhold my rage.
Is that the one where he does the camel cased, like, sort of David Foster Wallace-y?
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. Gives it a name. I lay back on the bed Jazz never wanted to leave. Oh.
Well, she's trying to formulate. She says it right here. She says it's time to work on the next step of my evil plan, and that's where that's what she's doing in the bed Jazz never wanted to leave. And that was when my note was just, it's going to be a long 3 chapters. It's.
I guess I never actually figured out what. So Trond just said, here, blank check, go stay wherever you want.
Yeah, I was confused by this too, and I didn't go back to look as she said she was doing this, but she just, I guess he gave her an advance. She took the money and went to sleep in a place so that she could walk down the hall, to the private bathroom with no robes, no dudes checking me out of the hall, just me and my bladder headed to take care of business in peace. Good hard sci-fi. But yeah, the evil plan is that's a nice little 2010s Redditor speak that was going to rear its head quite a bit in this section.
Yeah, and she explains how her evil plan is meted out by little bits, which I found sort of irritating. I would rather just do the Columbo thing. Just tell me who did it, and then I'll watch you do it. But she says here, so to use an airlock control panel, you have to wave your gizmo over it. Sorry, I'm throwing these hard sci-fi terms at you. But gizmo. It verifies that you're part of the guild. It's a simple, idiot-proof scheme that's very effective. So no one's ever lost or stolen one, ever? Doesn't that seem like, here's a card that can get you anywhere? Like, oh, well, I will just hit you on the head and take it. Thank you.
Right, yeah.
But apparently that's
drag you behind a vase, change into your costume, and come back out with your gizmo.
Yes. We do this all the time in heist movies. Have you never seen one before?
Well, the guild I think she's referring to is the Welding Guild?
Yes.
Is that the thing?
Run by the Saudi Arabians.
They run the Saudi Arabians. We get some more information into the demographics and stereotypes of the moon colony. She goes to Little Hungary because the Hungarians owned all the metalworking shops, just like the Vietnamese owned life support and Saudis owned welding. And just one detail we left out of our recap is that the population of the moon is 2,000 people. So it's half the size of Christmas River. So however many metalworking shops owned by Hungarians were there in Christmas River, we have about half as many of those on the moon here. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. My boys both went to Torrey Pines High School. I think it was 2,000 people.
Okay.
So it's like you're in high school. And, I suppose by the end of, she's been there since she was 7?
6. Yeah, 6 or 7. Yeah.
People probably know her by now.
We do.
Except for the tourists that she occasionally bangs in her coffin.
We had an encounter with the president, the Kenyan woman, who said, oh, of course, I remember you as a 3-year-old when I did a project with you. So she makes an impression for sure, which we'd think would work to her detriment as she goes about her evil scheme.
Yes, and then we meet, so Jazz, we've talked about this, is probably not the most nuanced character.
Okay.
It's not, but Zoska Strobel, the Hungarian, what is she? Welder? No, what are they?
Metalworking.
Metalworking. She is, boy, just, let me give you a little taste.
Please.
Here she, and I will just do it as I'm picturing it. Please, this is not my impression of Hungarians.
Yeah, it says she spoke with a thick accent.
We have a mutual friend who's Hungarian. I wonder what she would think of this.
Oh,
she's second
praise
generation.
Its accuracy. Yes.
Yes.
Tears
so here you go. Here's how I picture it. You are a daughter of Amar Bashara. He good man. You nice little girl. Now you are bad. You are unmarried and have sex with many men. Zaska,
What is so she says yes, I'm quite the harlot. Like, I mean, did she like broadcast a pay-per-view special or something of like some sort of world record-breaking encounter? It would take a lot of effort, I feel like, to get this widespread reputation so that even the stereotype Hungarian metalworking women know about this.
Well, what I was assuming was that her dad, in the typical Saudi Arabian fashion, was just going up to the metalworking place and go, "Do you hear about my daughter? She's a whore." Because that's
right.
That'll get you far in the community and the business world.
And Zoska Strobel is it's just the nuances of this large Eastern European woman answering the door versus the large Eastern European woman who answered the door at Tron's house, who was Russian. Yeah. It's just he nailed the differences between the woman whose borscht she had pissed in and then this metal worker. It's
very the subtleties. I understand Hungary a little better now. I think
that's
having read the picture he painted of Zoska Strobel.
It's like the guy in The Wizard of Oz who answers the door and then it works every job inside the city.
That's Zoska.
And Zoska Strobel, who was apparently named during a severe Val famine, which bugged the shit out of me. But then I realized I made the same joke about Kent Herbeck last summer at our live show, so I'll give him a pass on that.
Okay. But then she says, so she tries to make a deal with her to get this little
whole inspection bot, a hib.
Hibby.
Yeah.
Hibby. Ugh. Anyway, she makes a deal with that, and then she says about her, yeah, she was grumpy and thought I was a bimbo.
Nice.
I'm bimbo? I mean, 1982, like... teen sex movie? Maybe somebody called someone a bimbo. But on the moon in 2080?
Sure. And as a Hungarian expression, that's probably something they would encounter a lot. But yeah, but hey, her son Isvan had banged more dudes than I ever had. So, I mean, the moon, I don't know. Something about low gravity just gets people horned up, I guess. It's
Well, she said that, right? People like to do it on the moon with that. Apparently, there's some sort of gravity thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, they explain. He lays out the science talking between all these sort of cringy encounters between her and these other people. We don't need to read everything for her, but just a little dose of what you get if you're reading this book full through. She says, keeping Artemis at constant. This is after she's called a bimbo, talked about her son, been called a slut by this woman. Keeping Artemis at constant pressure is tricky. If people use more power than usual, the city becomes slightly overpressurized. Why? The power becomes heat, which increases the air temperature, and that makes the pressure go up. Normally, life, blah, 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 blah. So that is the interspersed throughout these things. It is very jarring to read them.
Yeah, a paragraph of science and then like her doing the, jacking a thumb towards Zoska going, can you believe this turd juggler over here? It's a very juggler.
And sometimes the science talk will mix in the internet aesthetic writing, and that's yes. Really when you get the full dose of what this guy's going for. I liked that she's describing the hull inspection bot, and she says that the arm had a high definition camera on the end. So I'm glad that that's a term that we're still using in 2082. Maybe it means something, some substantially more high definition, but similar to how Ready Player One had high definition displays. I thought it was a funny thing to an artifact of our language when the book was written.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's. We just did that movie that was set in the future with the Gangster World or whatever, and they had their cameras were about 240p, no 240 interlaced, I would say.
Yep.
When in the far future, so I'm if she says high definition, I think the minimum there is 720p. So that's pretty exciting that it had one of those.
And the camera is also what I needed for my nefarious plan. So it's an evil scheme, nefarious plan.
So then she goes, here's her plot. She gets the hibby from this woman. I don't know if you have any more on.
Nope.
Okay, then she she dresses up, as we said, drags someone behind the plant to put their costume on. She is going to be a conservative Muslim tourist.
Yes.
And so she buys a hijab she buys a niqab, and then says
at one of the few stores on the moon that cater to the small Muslim population.
Right.
So we need a map at some point in time.
And so just reports that she's going to buy this, and then says in the next paragraph, okay, you can stop pretending you know what a niqab is.
God.
Why do you hate me? Why do you hold me in such low regard? Why are you even writing this book for me? You think I'm just a Neanderthal idiot.
Yeah, and here it goes on to say, it's a traditional Islamic headwear that covers the lower face, combined with a hijab, parentheses, headcloth to cover my hair. Only my eyes were visible. Great way to wear a mask without arousing suspicion. So, like, it is a bizarre under and overestimation in the same paragraph. And also it says, like, this is not arousing suspicion. It's like, hey, the thief wore an unconventional color of niqab because she bought a tan one so she could look good doing it. It's like, yeah, that chick who has a lot of sex was in here yesterday and bought one. Good, I'll go arrest her. Problem solved. Like.
But then, so, okay, fair enough. She's going to, because she gets to wear, the full gear, she's only seen through the eyes, I'm assuming. That's kind of what we're...
This is a Bugs Bunny disguise, right? This would be...
100% Bugs Bunny. And so, after lecturing us about not knowing what hijabs and niqabs were, she approaches the front desk of a hotel, and then begins the sensitive retraining of us idiots who don't know about Muslim culture.
Okay.
She comes to the desk and says, I greet, I said with a thick Arabic accent. Welcome to the Artemis Hyatt. He said, needing gizmo. So thank you for training me in the sensitivities of other cultures. I'm humbled. In the internet tradition, I'm not worthy. I'm bowing down before you. Thank you for teaching me about this.
Yeah, the moon is a vast multicultural place. I mean, who knows what has happened in culture in 60 years? I mean, a lifetime. You could see how much changes, but broken English played for comedic effect will never go out of style.
I just wrote down, like, what? So this characterization's like Chevy Chase's Fletch, Dean Martin skit from '64.
Yeah, really, it's full Hope and Crosby trying to Road to the Casbah or something.
I said with a smile, I thank many. Moon is much excitement. Oh my God.
I like that once she's like paying him and using slugs or whatever. Like, I really wish that, as he was stuck with, high definition from 2013, I wish that he had gone big on Bitcoin or something, being like, Bitcoin, right. Yeah, we still use it. It became the future of everything in 2047, guys. Like, that would have been a hilarious artifact of that time. I also just want to read for you a sentence that appeared in a New York Times bestseller. She's talking about why she needs the new gizmo. Mm-hmm. And it's so that the Mountie can't track her down, because life's a pain in the ass when you have a cop constantly on your ass.
Nice.
It's like when a rapper rhymes a word with itself.
I was really hoping in the scene, by the way, that she would that the guy at the front desk, would say, "Hang on a minute. Oh, yes. What it? Like." Is that niqab brown? 'Cause it's very attractive. Carry on, obvious conservative Muslim woman. Whew, I said. Whew. Tugging at the collar of my...
Yeah, or just like, I'm sorry, I don't speak, Arabic. However, Abdul, who over here was just getting back from his break, so he'll be happy to translate for you. I regret putting you in an embarrassing situation where you had to speak your obvious not first language, but this guy will be able to assist you much more helpfully than I will be. So just come here and you can speak it to him.
Gulp. I speak a different dialect.
Where
I speak 7 dialects. Which one?
Then she utters out some syllables, and that is of course a real thing. Like she just has to mutter, "Where bathroom diarrhea?"
Your onion needs shaving. What?
God.
Oh, I mean.
But she fortunately doesn't have to do that. But she does describe her time that she has been to the hotel before. I'd only been there once before on a date with a tourist. The room was pleasant enough, but I'm not the best judge. I only got a good look at the ceiling.
Oh, boom!
So it's Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City.
He was Lawrence of my labia.
God! That's a real line, right?
That's a real line.
That's not just improv you.
I apologize.
If that was something off the top of your head, that would have been a good night, folks.
I'm sorry. Yeah, cover the children's ears in retrospect. Sorry about that. It's a line from the movie. I had to watch, and I made Sean and Connor watch a little bit of it.
God.
Oh. Anyway.
So what she's going to do is hop on a train to go with all the other tourists to the Apollo landing site. There's overstimulated kids. We're literally bouncing off the walls. Lunar gravity is the worst thing to ever happen to parents. I can probably think of a few more things that would bum people out if I were to list them here, but that's probably an exaggeration. But then, "This is so cool," said a dumb blonde to her trust fund boyfriend. "We're about to take the monorail." Ugh, only tourists called it that. You called it Moon Poon a couple chapters ago, which is substantially worse. Like, God, settle down.
This author has a lot of grudges that he's settling with his character, and it doesn't paint a good picture of her. She's just like a ball of hate and rage.
Right. And it says, by the way, we also hate it when people call us loonies, or when they call Artemis the city in space. She also obviously wants to be called a lunar, is what she wants up on the moon.
I mean, technically we're in space, but so is London. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson, get off Twitter, you jerk. This is a detail. I don't want to get past it. She says at the end as she walks off in the hijab, "I carried a big purse, of course. What tourist woman would be without one?" Okay, we're only hearing about this purse now? Where are you? In detail, we heard about you getting this little machine. We heard about you buying the stuff. Like, you bought a giant purse? Where?
Are they just selling? Is that the main industry? You go up here so you can get counterfeit Louis Vuitton handbags, for $150 that normally cost $5,000. That would explain all the shopping people are doing if it was counterfeit goods.
And think of the purse buying scene would have been gold. Think how much hate she has for people who sell or buy purses. It could have been so many good zingers in that. Yeah. And yet all we get is like, of course I was carrying a big purse. Like, when did you get that? What happened?
Was she buying it while wearing the niqab? Like what tourist woman would be without one? I don't know. Maybe the conservative Saudi Arabian woman who's wearing this outfit that isn't planning on doing a whole bunch of shopping. Go into your buddy's business wearing with the purse and being like, "I need all the reusable condoms you can fit in here." God.
So she goes to the train, and slight language warning here. Here's what she says: a hatch opened to reveal the conductor. "Shit! It was Raj. He wasn't supposed to be there." I'm like, Raj? Do we know Raj?
Do we? Yeah, I don't think we do.
I think we know Raj. I think this is new.
Yeah.
Because then she says, "Raj and I grew up together." After the fact, we went to the same schools. We were teenagers together. So Raj, her dear friend, who was a teenager with her, is going to see her big purse.
Well,
and wearing her Bob Hope costume, and you're going to go, what are you doing?
But it also says, you said, dear friend. It says, we weren't close friends or anything, but we saw each other every day for most of our lives. My dress and hijab might not be enough of a disguise. I don't know. When we go to Nashville in August, bring a hijab and a niqab, and just like, I'll see if I can recognize you wearing them. We'll do a little,
Sure.
we'll person on the street thing where everyone walks into the house and sees if they can tell that it's you. Because I think it'd probably be a pretty good disguise.
And at one point, I hope that you will sort of freeze like a statue, and I'll walk right past you, and then we'll walk around in a circle back to back and not see each other.
But she does have Raj scheduled memorized. That's an important detail. And even if it, so that's Raj that she knows because they went to school together. Isn't the guy who she switched shifts with also just going to be, another person who she definitely knows and probably has spent a lot of time in and around, in the town of 2000?
Yeah,
It's like
this
a lateral move.
This nefarious plan it's just coming apart at the seams here. But Raj calls out. This is very irritating that he's doing this shtick. Mm-hmm. This is the 2:34 p.m. train to Apollo 11. All aboard. I hate myself for doing that. He held out a vintage-looking brass ticket shredder. Vintage 80s, please?
Vintage 80s, yeah.
Let's keep this on brand, if you will, please.
Yeah. He held it in his silver studded Michael Jackson glove, of course.
Yes.
I've ridden, trains to New York and stuff where they come with a little like hole punch or something back in the aughts, like the vintage looking brass ticket shredder is, that's going back a ways, I would say.
People from 2080 are going like, what is that? Who are you kowtowing to with that? I don't know what that is.
He doesn't recognize her. He must be too busy not shredding tickets because it's just for decoration. But they do hop on the Lunar Express. It's a 40-minute ride or so, 50-minute ride. Mm-hmm. And we get this. The train set off. It was utterly smooth, no rocking, shaking, nothing like that. It ran on an electric motor, obviously, and the tracks never had to deal with the warping effects of weather. Plus, there wasn't much weight on them compared to Earth's track. Yes. We're still doing it. We're still reminding each other that the effects of gravity are not what they are on the Earth.
I said, well, this is the first time hearing about this. Tell me more. And then what is unfortunately, my notes, I didn't write down the joke. I don't know if you have it there, but here it is. A snicker rippled through the passengers. It was a stupid-ass joke, but comedic gold to the tourists. Mm-hmm. Like, comedic gold to the writer? Like, why are you, again, putting in a dumbass joke and then chastising everyone for, yep, that joke sucked, huh? Right. But the tourists ate it up, those pieces of garbage.
The joke was, please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but snicker there.
Yeah, he does have a lot of contempt for a lot of these other characters, or she does, because she sits next to a frumpy Midwestern woman who's amazed that they're on the moon. So she'll, go to hell. Person having the experience of a lifetime.
Frumpy Midwestern woman. Yes, to which she says, and forgive me, I'm just reading it, Malesh ala ma aref Inglesi, I said with a shrug. So she does speak the language, I guess.
I guess she does speak, Arabic.
Sure, it was her household language.
Yeah, right. But the woman just turns away and says it to someone else again. Once they land, we get to a moment that, if it weren't for something that comes later, would be one of the more stunning moments in the podcast history, in terms of throwaway details that make you wonder why they're here in the book. But they meet a character named, and this cannot be a coincidence based on what we know about his fandom of the Kleinverse, Gunter Eichel. Like, right? That's just no way that's a coincidence.
There's no possible way that is a coincidence, yes.
And Gunter Eichel had immigrated to Artemis 10 years earlier with his stepsister Ilsa. You want to take a sip of your coffee?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Yep.
They came because they were ostracized in Germany for being a couple. Yes, really. That's why they emigrated. And then so they are stepsisters who are banging. So that's why they had to leave Germany to come to the moon. And she goes on to say, "We don't care what people do sex-wise, as long as everyone's a consenting adult. Though some folks stretch the definition of adult." Just need, no matter what, it's an interesting paragraph. I don't imagine this is going to come back into play, that he's having this odd relationship, to put it politely. But the second part about we don't care what people do sex-wise, proven untrue rather quickly in this section.
Very strange. The royal we, when she comes from a conservative Saudi Arabian family?
Yeah, her dad was installing a prayer mat in the last episode.
The Hungarians?
We got a Mountie kicking the shit out of a Vietnamese wife beater,
I think they care. I think
it's like they're that commune that all our books went to support in the last episode, the Free River Project, as opposed to this mishmash of cultures who loathe and resent each other up on the moon.
That's just stunning. That is just shoehorning something in. It's so strange. We don't care. Turning the moon and on all these little conservative balkanized factions into a weird hippie commune when you've already demonstrated it's not anything like that. Why?
Yeah, and it's like, we don't care. It's like, did you at least ask him some questions? It's like, yeah, maybe if he came back from, grad school and his dad had remarried and there was a 23-year-old, that he met that day and fell in love with. It's like, oh, we asked some questions. We don't care. It was weird. But it's like, yeah, no, they remarried before I was born. She was 2 when I was born. I grew up in the same house with her. It's like, that's weird, man. We're not going to abide. Even on the moon, that's a little too much for me. Let me go check with my dad. Oh, he's praying right now. He'll weigh in later.
Let's see. Did you, when this happened, it seemed so weird. Did you flee to South America? No, you went all the way to the moon. Okay, maybe there is something a little weird about it then.
Right. Yeah. So if maybe maybe everyone who's up there loses the part of their culture that judges about that, proven untrue later in the book. But yeah, there's got to be some other places on the earth where that would be fine. Go to the Free River Project. It's in Wales. And but anyway, so not to dwell on that because we get an even better one later.
My darling sister, we shall go to the moon. Sounds like a plan. I've already packed.
Ooh, what'd you pack? Anyway, he lets them out, and he's sort of given the tour guide, pointing out the American flag, the Apollo mission planted, little sciencey details, and he's like, one of them got bleached, but I just imagine him giving his spiel. For later missions, they figured out how to put the flags farther away. A small chuckle came from the crowd. Yeah, that's a funny one. So who's here with a sibling? Anybody? Anybody into that? No? All right. Midwestern frumpy lady? No? Okay.
And this made me wonder, she describes Dale here, off-screen Dale.
Sure.
And I just wondered, given this here, usually Dale would be there among his peers, but today was a Saturday. He was devoutly Jewish and off at Artemis's only synagogue, Congregation Beth Chalutzen. Uh-huh. Is he one of those people who doesn't care what people do sex-wise? That traditionally famous,
so
conservative.
People have just the most devout people on earth have come to the moon to carry on their religious traditions, as strongly as ever. But for whatever reason, yeah, this morality is the one thing that lapses. Dale, I will also add, this is the description of Hartnell's pub. I sat in my usual seat, second from the end of the bar. The first seat used to be Dale's, but those days are over, which is implied that they had a falling out, not that he renounced, drinking to go be devout in the synagogue every Saturday.
Right. All right. So then she gets the tour of the place as she wanders around, seemingly kind of by herself. Mm-hmm. It seems, floating around.
Yeah.
And then they give a speech about the EVAs kind of take over, and she says, "I listened with fake fascination. of course I knew about scurry packs. I knew all about scurry packs. And why are you faking the fact your face is 100% covered? I don't think you have to fake anything. All we could see are like your two eyes.
Yeah.
There's no, you can make all the wacky expressions you want. No one can see them.
Yeah. What was I? Why was I going skiing recently? I was like, you're taking a picture on the slope, and I've got helmet, face covering and goggles on, and I'm still smiling for a picture. And at some point, you realize that you're like, God, what am I doing? But it's like that's what she's doing right here. She's just like rolling her eyes inside the burqa. Oh wait, the eyes are the only thing they can see. Oh no.
She's rounding off her mouth and no one cares.
There's a good little exchange between so the guy leading her tour is Bob, who's the no-nonsense Marine who was in the first chapter.
Oh, he was the very first guy we met, yeah.
Yeah, and he introduces nice Marine concepts like no horseplay on the moon. I just imagine, I did not watch my buddies die face down in Sydney, Australia during World War IV for you to come up here and play grab ass on the moon. But he gets into it with I don't remember. Oh, a small Asian man who she identifies as Nervous Guy. So Nervous Guy has a lot of questions about like radiation, what you're going to get, what it's, how much time these guys spend outside. And it's like, why are you asking these questions as you're about to set foot out here? You clearly spent a year's salary to get here, traveled for many days, and that's when you start to worry about these are all clearly outlined as you're buying your ticket.
Right, and you didn't even, that the hotel that you're staying at has that wall with all those pamphlets stuffed into it. You didn't pull out one of those pamphlets and just kind of go, thinking about going on an EVA tour of the moon? Here's a couple of things you should know.
He was about to grab that pamphlet, but then all the rest were about the prostitutes nearby. Like, come see ours, like, hottest prostitutes in town. That's what he went for.
He was about to read it, but then he put a nickel in the magic fingers thing, and it like drifted right off to sleep.
But yeah, plot-wise, he's essentially like had the Hibbot follow them out of the airlock so that it can be outside on the moon, because the airlocks are the thing that you need someone else's gizmo to get in and out of, and they'll keep a record of that. So she's stashing the bot outside on the moon so that it can go back to perpetrate her very nefarious scheme when she needs it near the harvesters, I guess. That's a lot of a quick summary, I think, of a lot of his words here.
Yes, and she I guess we forgot to mention the hotel gave her a rent a gizmo.
Yeah, she requested one to do the translations for her, I guess.
Yes, under her name. I don't have it here. An Islamic name.
Yeah. There gets another one of these science things, and I just want to share it again because this is just in the middle of the judging and the dumbassery. It says, just like harvesters, hamster balls have to deal with a pain in the ass that is heat rejection, but you can't encase a person in wax. So what did the scurry pack do with all that heat? Dump it into a big block of ice. Yep, good old frozen water, a couple liters of it. Water is one of the best heat absorbers in all of chemistry, and melting the ice takes even more energy. That was really the limiter to how long a hamster ball excursion could be, how long that block of ice would last. It worked out to 2 hours. It's like I realized it's like a Family Guy cutaway, to just like wedge this stuff in and just go right back to the plot. This doesn't matter. The ice doesn't matter in this section at all, but it's just, Hey, Lois, it's like that time we were in hamster balls up on the moon.
Remember, and you wouldn't let us bring all the ice we needed.
I tried, but you ate it. You put it in your soda.
Oh, yes, ice. The thing to perpetrate my nefarious scheme. Finally, one day they will rue the day.
Are you still talking, Peter?
But
That's our impression.
Yeah, it's
Oh, good
probably
stuff.
Practice that ahead of time.
Yeah.
But yes, I just the science talk is essentially that to me. There's not much to the plan, really. It just is sort of, it's sort of like a video game stealth mission, I guess, of making sure that the Marine's not looking as you remote control the Hibbot out the door behind him.
But each moment of it, I have to say, I didn't understand. Like, there was zero tension, right? Because you're just like, I don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
She's taking a claw machine, which I can't really picture It has an arm with a 720p camera on it is about the only thing that I can figure out. And it's going to crawl up these little handholds in the outside of the shell.
Yeah, it's like
do
you said
something, but I think
you said before, everything is presented for the first time as we encounter it. So there's really, you have to start imagining it as you're imagining the scheme at the same time. And to me, it was very ineffective.
Yeah, we should tell him about, what's the Hitchcock thing? The unimportant.
MacGuffin?
The MacGuffin. Sorry, the MacGuffin, yeah. We need MacGuffins for each scene, like, I set the briefcase over in the corner, hoping no one would notice it. And then I stepped over to, so that you have something to focus on. Like, wait, what is she doing? That was my whole... Okay, now she's going outside. Does anyone care? Oh, Bob's not looking? Okay. I have zero tension.
I think he would appreciate that, but you might need to put it in the... refer to it in terms of a 80s movie to get him to understand what a MacGuffin is,
Sure.
It's like the Allspark in the Shia LaBeouf Transformers movie. Like, oh, okay, that's clicking a bit, but a couple decades before, yeah,
pound it, man.
Turn off your brain and enjoy it. But this is how the chapter ends. They're sort of looking at the site, and she's like, "Oh, it is impressive," just as an excuse for him to throw a little more moon history and stuff at you. Which I guess some people are enjoying in the midst of all of this. But it says, I spent the rest of the tour checking out the Eagle. It's amazing to think people actually landed here in that thing. You couldn't get me to do that for 1,000,000 slugs. Well, okay. I'd do it for 1,000,000 slugs, but I'd be nervous about it.
Yes.
So isn't that the exact same way that the second chapter ended? With sort of the Gilligan Island? Like, I will not do that. I'll give you 1,000,000 slugs.
You can't make me. You can't make me.
So that's how 2 of the 4 chapters so far have ended. Well, I guess the chapter hasn't ended. We get the emails back and forth with Kelvin from Kenya.
Yeah, that's quite something. Oh, there is one thing I want to bring up. This is broadcasting through the aluminum sheets.
Okay.
This is just in the science stuff where, the snarkiness is done for a sec. It's hard to broadcast through 2 6-centimeter aluminum sheets and 1 meter of ground up rock. Well, pretty simple, actually. Why did you bring it up? You were leading me down the path of, oh boy, that is a problem. How are you? Oh, it's pretty simple, actually. Okay.
Very next sentence.
God.
Yeah. That stuff like that, which I think happens a couple times. There's sometimes like, you may be wondering how it does this. Like, no, I don't think many people were, because you explained it away as soon as you do it. But that's it's hard to do something. It's actually easy. Is counteracts essentially all the build up to the gravity is lighter, which happens in I think the next chapter. Like, he spent so much time developing that and being the only thing we focused on for the first episode of this podcast. And then as soon as it comes into play, it immediately goes out the window.
Yep. All right. Well, there's no avoiding it. We're into the letters now. We're into Sean.
Yeah. Sean is, I guess he was brought up the last time.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But yes, it sounds like it.
Well, it says, Dear Kelvin, he's talking about Sean. Sean fucked up. I love the man, and he makes me howl in bed. But God, he can be so stupid sometimes. And then he says, he got a hold of some pot, brought it up a tourist. We needed a place to party. Problem is, around here, if you smoke, you'd set off fire alarms. So where would we go? I quibbled with why the tourist, who would undoubtedly be aware that you couldn't smoke on the thing, if he's sneaking in pot, why he wouldn't buy the presumably widely available edible or vapable varieties that are, omnipresent even in the year 2023, and you'd figure would only be more popular. But that's just my question.
I also had that problem solved of like pot is not available on the moon is that a tourist brought it up. Like, what's happening on the other end of these tourist things where there's no like, can I check your bag there, young man? Like,
I put on a C job. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was, smuggled in a body cavity or something. I don't know. It's also a funny thing to imagine that in 60 years, that issue has still remained positive, considering what else they allow on the moon that we'll get to.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so on the moon, they're taking their Led Zeppelin 4 double album cover, and they're separating the seeds out with a card that they got from These things pop out of the pipe, man.
Yeah, get a milk jug, a Bic pen, some foil. I'll get you a bong in no time.
Oh, you have an apple right over there. Dude, problem solved.
But yeah, the mount. So long story short, is what she says. They start a fire in this thing in her dad's
Welding shop.
Because there's acetylene torches he had filled. Terrible thing. Everything's destroyed. Dad is pissed off. Kicks her out of the house. Rudy is trying to track her down and have her deported, but the fire destroyed all the pots, so no evidence of illegal flammables.
This is, by the way, this is Dad's brand new. He just built it, right?
Yes.
And, obviously real estate on the moon under those domes is, you can't make more of it, as they say. So It's obviously incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And she burns it down with the guy who's banging her and smuggling pot off of tourists. And then her next sentence is, Dad was pissed off.
Yeah.
He yelled at me like never before.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Really?
maybe the Nigerians run the moon's insurance industry, and he had it, the best insurance possible, and they're going to be just out there replacing it within a matter of days. So,
yeah, well, and Rudy wanted to have her deported, but that's amazing that he didn't just, what was it, rabbit punched in the throat or something. Seems like his métier.
Yeah, I think that, causing a fire, would just sort of be zero tolerance. Like, oh, it was an accident.
Yes.
We don't care. Like, you can't leave a candle burning in your thing and fall asleep in bed either. Like, that's not, we can't do it.
But her response here is, when was this that Sean was making her squeal and howl and whatever in her coffin, I guess? How old was she?
Well, so no word here, but in the next chapter, we get some solid confirmation of her age. So
okay, but here she's like 16,
rather
17?
young in this section. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But again, they don't care what you do on the moon. But so she responds like a teenager, like I don't even care. Like so what? I burnt the thing down. And then what's his name? Kelvin. So there you go, Kelvin. That's my life.
Yeah, and the detail is that Sean is a 23-year-old bookie. So she moves in with him. He's saving up so he can buy a place at a table at the Starlight Casino. So I guess you buy that like you do a chair at a hairdressing place or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, gambling has gotten a lot less legal too on the moon. You need dirtbag bookies who buy weed off of tourists to place your bets.
Also, he's 23 and she's. Again, okay. I guess they don't care. They don't care.
Say that for the next chapter.
Okay, all right.
Because we're like dancing around it now. But yeah, he doesn't want to make it ambiguous. But yeah, so the guy that she writes to, Kelvin, is he's just like he's a dork essentially. He's like, I know you're mad, but please consider reconciling with him, even if you don't want to live in his home. There is nothing more important than family. So it's like by this point in time, I feel like this guy would have been like, I'm gonna he's he's in the chess club and everything. Unless he's secretly turned on by this. He's like, I think we probably are very different people, and I'm gonna find a different pen pal.
Or he's just writing it while on the phone or something. I guess I have to do this.
Yeah, I suppose.
But if he was talking about how important family was, I wondered if she'd accidentally been pen paling with Dominic from the
Dom
Fast and the
Toretto.
Furious. Yes. There's nothing more important than family.
Yes. If I work my way up to Loadmaster, I'll be able to afford trade schools for my sisters. But she then replies to him. She's been hectic, she's been fighting with Sean, but she says that there are at least 5 master welders in town who want me in their shop. The Hungarian machinists also dropped by. As well as plumbers, electricians, and glassworkers. Yes, I have a reputation for being good at whatever I set my mind to, but this is ridiculous. It is kind of ridiculous. It's
your reputation is not that, I don't think.
I guess you can only have one reputation, and this one quickly gets supplanted.
Because, what is the old saying? But burn down one machine shop.
Yeah. I guess she sort of implies that her dad has put out some feelers to try to get someone to help her right the ship. But
yes,
yeah. But and then it ends with in other news, Sean is banging other women. We never declared exclusivity. I moved in because I had nowhere else to go. It's like, I mean, I'm not not a scarlet level Puritan, but I think that when you move in, that sort of is some sort of declaration of that, unless he's actively like doing it in your bed as you're like looking at your watch in the hallway, wondering when you can come back in. But, I guess Sean doesn't make the best judgment as we go. And she says, I don't like it, but Sean was very upfront about this for day one, so I can't complain. We'll just see how it goes. And yeah, I was like, how old are they? Like, neither one are talking about school anymore, but I think they both have just foregone other pastimes, because we get some information about that in Chapter 5.
Oh, boy. Yes. Just that entire thing about Sean and their relationship, I just wrote, what is happening here? This is just so... We always talk about it in bad movies, the unforced error of, what are you stirring in? Like, you're doing a very upfront tale about, a independent young lady, fighting against odds or whatever. What are you stirring this stuff into it for?
Yeah.
This is so disturbing and weird and off mission.
Yeah, it's just he's being horny on Maine, I guess, in his book. Like, that's where he's getting these weird little hot 23-year-old Saudi chicks, doing the whole moon. Like, it has to be a thing. Otherwise, there's no explanation. I thought at some point in time, I was like, they're laying it on so thick that like maybe this is just some sort of Boy Who Cried Wolf thing where she had to present this like promiscuous past as like some way to save someone else's honor or something. But like this made it very clear that it was just like, nope. Like she moved in when she was 16 years old with some dude, and her dad had to like come to the door like Michael Douglas in Traffic and try to like, bring her home type of thing.
Right. Yeah. I thought the exact same thing, that it's like, this is obviously she did a red flag thing, or she took the heat for someone, and then she saved the cat, and that's why we love her. Can you believe she, even in the face of her dad going like, just say that it wasn't you, she's like, no, tears streaming down her eyes. I will protect the honor of my dear friend. Nope, she's a whore.
Oh, fun. Would you like to do fanfic now or after Chapter 5?
Bring it on.
Let's do some fanfic. All right, this is Real or Fanfic, the segment where our beloved jackals over on Patreon send in some fanfic that's going to be as nefarious as her evil plan to try to fool you into thinking it's real from Artemis. That's patreon.com/372pages. You can get every episode early. We did a bonus mailbag last week. I think we've referenced some stuff from that in this episode already, forgetting that we didn't talk about it in the real one. But anyway. Right. We appreciate all the support from people. Very fun. Go check it out. So this is going to be 5 passages that are either fanfic written by the Jackals or real from later in the book. You got to decide which one. That can be all real or all fanfic or a combination of the two. Number 1. How well did you last week? Was it 2 out of 5?
Poorly. I did poorly.
Okay. It's tricky. It's so bad that anything could pass as fanfic. I see. So Indeed. We'll see how you do this time. Here's number 1. I pressed my finger to my earbud. Svoboda and Dad, I'm going to be digging for a while. I'll call back in a bit. We'll be here, said Svoboda. I cut the connection. Give me a hand digging this out, I said. Dale held up a shovel. There's 2 kinds of people in this world. Those with the EVA suits and those who dig. I snorted. Okay. First off, if we're doing the good, the bad, and the ugly, I get to be Clint Eastwood, not you. Second off, get your lazy ass back to work and help me. I have to be ready to drag your sorry ass back to the rover if things go wrong. He held the shovel out to me again. Accept your inner Eli Wallach and get digging. I groaned and took the shovel from him. This was going to take a while.
Well, I'm glad that, again, on the moon in 2080, still talking about Sergio Leone movies from the early 60s. If I have my year wrong, forgive me. There was a couple terms that were just a little too Kleinian, so I'm going to say fanfic.
All right.
Although, complete coin toss, admittedly.
Okay. Number 2. I glanced at the oxygen readout. 5 minutes of air left. If Svoboda was wrong, I would have to bite the bullet and send out an emergency rescue beacon to the EVA masters. Then I would have to explain what I was doing out here alone and why I shouldn't be deported immediately. No thanks. I found the oxygen tank. Working as quickly as I could with the oversized EVA gloves, I secured the nozzle, and nothing happened. I tried again with more force. and nothing happened. I looked at the nozzle, and I should have known. Of course the Soviet Union didn't use the Artemis standard valve system. Svoboda's voice came over my gizmo. You good, Jazz? No, I'm not good. I have a Soviet oxygen tank and no way to connect it to my suit. I'm going to be deported. Promise me you'll write. I was ready to hit the emergency beacon, but Svoboda had more to say. Jazz, do you still have that condom? Svobo, this is not really the time. No, that's not. I swear I could hear him blushing. I mean, if you have it with you, I think you can make an adapter. The Soviet tank just needs a rubber washer to secure the seal. Then it should function. I paused for a second. Yes, I did have the condom. I left it in my jumpsuit. A girl never knows when a handsome man is going to show up. Well, I do have it. Let's give it a shot. What do I do? It's easy. Just slide the condom over the Soviet nozzle. Get it good and bunched up before the threading, then snip a hole at the top. You want as much rubber as possible to make a good seal, so be careful and get just the tip. That's what she said.
Oh, I can't say that that's real. I have to say that's fanfic. I mean, even if I'm going to get stung by it, I'm still going to say that has to be fanfic.
Okay, number 3. I felt a tap on my shoulder. An Asian man in his mid-50s sat next to me. He wore a 3-piece suit and an ugly comb-over. Purai? He asked. Huh? I said. He pulled out his gizmo and gestured to it. Purai? English? I asked. He typed on his gizmo, then turned it to face me. The text read, Price? Oh, I said. Well, that's what I get for dressing like a prostitute and hanging out in a bar. It was nice to know I had an alternative career path if smuggling didn't work out. I glanced at the elevators and their guardian, then back to my John. 2,000 slugs, I said. Seemed reasonable. I was rocking that miniskirt. He nodded and typed up the transaction on his gizmo. I put my hand over his to stop him. After, I said. Pay after. He seemed puzzled, but agreed. I stood from the bar and downed my Balmore. I assumed everyone in Scotland gasped in psychic pain.
Ugh. Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, Asian man is nervous guy.
Probably, yeah. I mean, other than that, or he's got a hang-up on a stereotype here.
I don't know. Let's go all in and say that's real.
Okay. Our character mistaken for a prostitute later in the book. Number 4. The door to the gunk vattery slid open, and I was assaulted by a stench worse than Jabba the Hutt's armpits.
Ugh.
I felt my gag reflex spasm. Not that it happens often, but I pushed through it and entered the chamber. As bad as the gunk smelled, it still tasted far worse. Before me, 50 massive gunk vats filled the room in a 5x10 grid. Each vat was emitting a disgusting slurp noise as the algae was being stirred. I did a quick scan of the room. Thankfully, no sign of Irish Vattery Guild members. I whipped out my gizmo in a flash. Dale? Yeah. A shit-eating grin spread across my face. I'm in.
Wow. Irish what? Could you repeat the phrase?
Irish Vattery Guild.
Yeah, there we go. So the Irish do the fermenting of the... I don't know. I have to say fanfic.
Okay. And number 5, final one. I have a joke for you, Svoboda said, eagerly leaning in. I groaned. Svoboda's jokes were always terrible, but he was doing me a solid, so I bit. Okay, just as so long as it's not a knock-knock joke. It's not a knock-knock joke. Go ahead. Knock-knock. I just said! I'm kidding, he laughed. Okay, here's the real joke. Are you ready? The look on my face told him to get on with it. Okay, he began. What do you get when you cross a microscope with a telescope? What do you get? I asked, not even trying to figure it out. He paused dramatically. A kaleidoscope! You get it? He grinned. They collide. I grabbed my gizmo and walked out without another word. Behind me, I heard, It's funny!
I mean, it pains me to say. I'll say it's real. Because Svoboda is such a bad character.
Yeah. All right. These were very tricky, I think. So let's see how you did. Here's number 1. This was, good, the bad, and the ugly references. Several of them. You said fanfic. That is real from later in the book.
Oh, come on.
That was submitted by Jeff.
Referencing Eli Wallach?
It's incredible.
Who died in what? What?
He said, yeah, accept your Eli Wallach, and she recognized his quote from earlier. probably after multiple back-to-back viewings. Jeff, who submitted that one, went on to say that chapter 16 of this book is one of the worst things he's read in the history of the podcast.
Oh.
And Jeff is the guy that read all the Quilters books, so he knows what he's talking about.
Wow.
So we've got that to look forward to. But 0 for 1 so far. Number 2, this was the That's What She Said joke, slipping the condom around the Soviet seal. You said fanfic. It is fanfic, written by Daniel. It was good. I thought it would. I mean, I guess it was so much, but it's not that different.
No, it's not. That was good. I was very, very torn.
Number 3 is the Asian man using his translator to solicit her as a prostitute because she's rocking a miniskirt. You said real. It is real. Yes, submitted by Cynthia.
Okay.
Yep. So that's 2 for 3 so far. So that's another thing to look forward to. Not sure what's going on with that, but very exciting. Number 4, the Gunk Vattery, Jabba the Hutt's armpits, which got a visceral reaction for you. And the Irish Guild, the Vattery Guild. You said fanfic. It is fanfic, written by Daniel. I don't know. Again, I thought it was a little heavy-handed with the guild and the Jabba the Hutt, but it's also not that different.
I don't think so. No, I don't think anyone's crossed a line.
So that's 3 out of 4, I think. And then number 5, that was the knock-knock joke, the kaleidoscope. You said real. That was fanfic, written by Mike T. Mike T. I think that one was too subtle. I mean, it was subtle enough to be tricky, He didn't it wasn't a That's What She Said joke. It was just a bad, kid science joke. So,
well, they're certainly on to his style of humor, so that makes it very difficult.
Very much, yes. They've learned, they've picked up on it. It evidently is something that if you've spent any time on the internet, you're able to replicate with immediate ease because it's so lazy. Well done, everybody. Thank you for sending in those devious ones. We have a lot too, so maybe a bonus could be in order at some point. But let's move on to chapter 5.
And I'm flip of a coin now, right, for this book?
I think that puts it to 50%.
From 5 for 10.
That sounds like it,
okay.
if we remembered the last one.
Okay.
That's great. It's so amazing.
It is. All right, chapter 5.
Okay, I think we might have glossed over this the first time. Did she start reading the Saudi Arabian gossip site?
She did. Yes, okay. Yes, she did. To make her more, verisimilitude. Like if anyone caught her, she would be. They can see what she puts on her gizmo,
right? So
that she's doing that to throw them off the scent once they download the contents of her gizmo. I guess.
Yes. It's but she does. It's hard for me to remember if she liked it beforehand because she does. She seems invested in it, but I can't decide if that's just him doing a bad joke that she's pretending to like it, but now she's engrossed in it because it's like, oh my God, I could not believe the shit the prince's second wife was saying about him in the press. That's just mean. Still, I can emphasize with any woman who's been cheated on. I've been that woman, and honey, it sucks. So, ladies, be reading gossip. That's good. Good for the moon.
I wrote that one down and said, "What? Why are you becoming Dolly Parton in 9 to 5?" I can, snapping her gum. I can empathize with any woman who's been cheated on. I've been that one. Honey, it sucks. Mel, kiss my grits.
I also like that this is what Saudi Arabian gossip is, and not journalists dismembered, shoved into suitcase. All right, settle down. Is 9 to 5? Would that be worth a watch? You were trying to get me to watch 80 for Brady this week, and
yeah, it was. I've never seen 9 to 5.
Oh man, I've thought about it, so maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, you should.
She is now going to meet up, I believe, with Svoboda in Aldrin Park, right?
Yes.
Which is the one natural area they have with grass and trees and stuff. And they clarify that it's 3 p.m. Nairobi time, therefore 3 p.m. Artemis time, which is an important distinction to make.
And we get this. I can't imagine you don't have this highlighted as well.
Nope, I bet we could read it at the same time.
The city shined in the sunlight like a bunch of metallic boobs. What? I'm not a poet. They look like boobs. That is true. You are not a poet.
Yeah, you're not very funny either. It's It's like a 15-year-old boy being like, if in a body switch comedy, being like, well, man, I swapped into the body of the head cheerleader, and now I'm just going to go like, look around the locker room and stare at myself. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, like, have you existed on this planet for more than 2 hours? Like, regarding the opposite sex, it's unbelievable.
I mean, I'm trying to think. So she's well, let's peg it at 22, right? Mm-hmm. I was earning a living. I was, you had a car, you had an apartment you needed to take care of, relationships you had to, I was just a couple of years off from marriage. Mm-hmm. I hope to God I wasn't writing down things like, that looks like boobs. What? They look like boobs. I hope I wasn't. Maybe
Right.
I was. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can be a mix of endlessly sort of Bella Swan, world weary, and sort of like disgusted with everybody, all the frumpy tourists and stuff. But then when needed, you can also be the person who's like, dicks and boobs, like
Totally funny.
69. Yeah.
Pound it, man.
And she goes on to do this. Like, this is, I think we've talked about this off air, but she's identifying like the various boob-like buildings, and she says that Shepherd Bubble sat there full of rich fucks. And this has come up before, but I am glad that like just in this era we can have a work of fiction that's bold enough to speak out amongst the evils of rich people. Because in between like Succession and The White Lotus, and it's just like, it's good to have more of that, because maybe someone will do something about how Al-Qaeda is bad next.
Or maybe about how, what I'm hoping for is someone finally makes a movie about how the suburbs are not actually the ideal place that they think they are, that there's something bubbling under
simmering
the surface.
beneath the surface. Wow.
Yeah, I hope someone does that.
Wow. Oh, my mind's blown.
But she's a character who, what is her number one desire?
Right.
Is to be rich.
It is not even subtext. She's outright stated that. Like, she said, like, I want to be rich, and that's why I'm doing this, so I can move into a luxury apartment.
Which, I mean, in any other book, you'd go, okay, there's something going on here psychologically. But in this one, it's just dumb. There's no... her best... I mean, the only person, I guess Dale is her best friend, but the rich guy, she's like, hey, he was okay. Right. He takes care of his handicapped daughter, and he's kind of he jokes around with her. He opens up warehouses and lets her crawl around on machinery. Like, he's
doesn't see me as just a blue collar worker. Like, talks to me.
Yeah. So I don't understand. But whatever.
Yeah. But this is the groundskeeper in the park comes up to them. I forget what his name is, because she's beneath the two statues of Artemis and then Changji, I guess, the Chinese god, and then the raspy old voice of an 80-year-old groundskeeper comes up to her. No smoking in the park. The groundskeeper was 80 years old, at least 80 years old. He'd been a fixture in the park since the park opened. Do you see a cigarette in my hand? I said. I caught you once before. That was 10 years ago. He pointed to my eyes, then to me, watching you. So to me, that just reiterated how small of a town this is, because this is the second adult who has had an interaction with her from over a decade ago that has distinctly remembered her.
Yes.
So as she perpetrates her scheme, that's an important detail to remember.
And he has been a fixture since the park opened. And she knows this. So he was what, like 65 when it opened? I don't. How long has the
colony been there?
How long has the park been there?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. But then this is him, the groundskeeper again. He shot me. This is when Svoboda comes. Yeah. So you might have some stuff before this, but he shot me a look. I'll leave you and your John alone. No sex on the grass. So the 80-year-old.
Yeah. To which she replies, try not to age to death on the way home, Gramps. But it is an amazing, so this 80-year-old guy sees a 22-year-old and just assumes she's a prostitute. So again, like, are there just how word gets out? I'm very curious about, like, how big was her scandal, or how many people tuned into her live stream of her action to give her this reputation.
I don't know. Oh, but speaking of people trying to imitate the humor, here you go. Svoboda shows up, and so the two statues, and then she's sitting under it, right? He goes, "Hey, look at that. 3 hot moon babes hanging out." And she rolls her eyes and says, "I'll teach you how to talk to women someday, Svoboda." So that's the kind of humor that we're getting. Svoboda's not, he's not 11, right?
No.
He's a full-grown adult.
Could someone teach him how to write women? That would be an interesting question.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's another example of the guy, someone making the joke and then being like, "Come on, it's a terrible joke," and being like, "You're right." Well, anyway, moving on. I'll keep doing it.
Yep.
And this was weird. Because he says, like, "Did you get a chance to test that condom yet?" And she says, "It's been 24 hours. What kind of sex life do you think I have?" But then they say they don't come here often because, there's so much flying debris. And explain to me if you were aware of this. It says the park was infamous for this. If you're from Earth, no matter how much you mentally prepare yourself, you always throw too hard. Your friend 10 meters away, the intended receiver, will watch a ball sail over their head to the other side of the park. And don't get me started on frisbees. Between the low gravity and low air pressure, they're a complete mystery to tourists. What is he talking about here?
I don't know.
This implies that the gravity is different on the moon, but I don't think it's been addressed.
I don't think that has not come up.
So weird.
I don't know what that is.
Sloppy writing on his part, I guess, to have this happen. I mean, tell us what you're going to tell us, then tell us, please.
Also, again, you're flying to the moon. You looked this up. You know not to chuck a frisbee as hard as you can at your friend's eyes. This cannot be new news to you.
Yeah, and
no matter how much they hear of it. No, I think people are trainable to a certain point.
Yes.
Where their first throw might be slightly cautious because you've made such a big damn deal about it.
Yeah, really. Like the whole flight, which takes a couple days, they'll be just giving you a class on the moon and probably showing you videos of, Riff Track's educational short style of don't do this because otherwise, how to die horribly on the moon.
That frisbee hit your friend in the head. Here's Svoboda. Again, this is 3 paragraphs after the thing I just read.
The hot moon babes.
Yeah. Cool. I don't have many of those. You're my only friend with boobs.
God.
You really need to work on how to talk to women. So, 100% repeated beat. To what end, I ask you? Is anyone happy with this? Can we take a poll among people reading, listening? Is anyone happy with this?
The 3 guys who said this is a great book that listened to this, what are they? Are they 3 for 3 on that council? The wise men. Yeah, it's off-putting. To what end? It makes me just want to look at another picture of the writer. Is what it does to me. That's.
You're my only friend with boobs.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like
I'm going to say that to one of my friends and see how that goes over. I'm just going to record it, just surreptitiously from a secret camera.
Yeah.
How's it going? Then we have a regular talk, and then I just turn and go, "Hey, I've been meaning to tell you something."
Reacts like the
you're
the
my
neighbor
only friend with boobs.
Yeah, the office-based neighbor when he asks him if anyone says, "Do you ever have a case of the Mondays?" And he just has the most disgusted expression on his face.
No. Shit, man, no.
She's got welding equipment, custom electronics, and her HIB. To me, that sounded like a hell of a rig.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going out of the airlock. I think that she uses the HIB to trigger the airlock from the outside, because none of those things lock from the outside in case you're ever trying to get back in an emergency, as she, writerly demonstrated in the very beginning that you might be running out of air and need to get yourself in and you can't be fumbling for your key. So
Indeed.
The thing identifies it. It says, "I walked back to Conrad Airlock and closed myself into the antechamber. I just had to hope no one walked in on me or I'd have some splaining to do."
Uh-huh. Did you recognize the reference there?
Of course. I mean,
yeah. Kids, 2080, Moon. You guys still watching this?
I mean, entirely from other people's impression of that line from I Love Lucy, but It did stand out.
I was shocked by that. Like, you, come on. This is like from hearing John Biner do an imitation of it on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1971 or something.
Sure.
So, who is this making happy? Again, who is this attempting to cover?
Yeah, and at least, and in one or two of his books, Klein was working under the loosest cover of why you would be talking like the 50-year-old guy in 2013. But this is so much closer to Armada, where the kids in the future just quoted The Last Starfighter and Ferris Bueller without any explanation for why.
It's like I used to. I think I would irritate my beloved wife when there would be an ad on for something. Marketed to children that would be using, like a song from the musical Oklahoma from the 30s or something. Okay. I go, who is this trying to make happy? Where they're just using the tune and then re-singing it. Like, did they just own it? And they're like, well, we finally should probably get this thing out the door, I guess.
Yeah.
But, kids aren't going to hear it and go, oh, hooray, it's the song from Oklahoma.
Rock 'em, sock 'em, where the robots punch you in the face.
Exactly. I just never understood that. Like, just let that song die. It's fine. But this reference is the same.
Famous Nintendo Smash Brothers ad where they all the characters are happy, and then they're playing "Happy Together" by the Turtles from the 60s to sell a game in 2005, and that just starts playing as they start punching each other. What else? This is her main scheme is put into action here. She's going out to disable the 4 harvesters, which is going to involve welding and then explosions.
Yes, and she says about herself, right, there'd just be a very attractive dead body out on the surface for however long it took someone to notice. Mm-hmm. That is about herself.
Yeah. Well, it's about the author writing about herself. It is.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's like, have you ever had, writer's block where you're like, I just don't have it in me today. He's like, oh, I can't get out any words. I'm just not horny enough. I've got to go, brother. Go take a walk around the block and maybe I'll come back with an appropriate level to write this book about a 22-year-old moon girl.
I got my my funny jokes are all out of the way. Yeah,
funny
get
jokes.
Horny.
Yeah, it's surprising you mentioned that. Here's some funny jokes. My CO2 removal system reported green status, which was good because I don't like dying.
Oh. I have just go to hell next to that.
Oh yeah, I've got several of those. Here's another good one. This is what I said, 5 sentences that just the perfect distillation of his writing style, minus a little bit of horniness, I think. When they designed Artemis, someone said, what if there's an explosion at the reactor? It's 1,000 meters from town. That'd be bad, right? A bunch of nerds furrowed their brows and pondered this. Then one of them said, well, we could put a bunch of dirt in the way. They gave him a promotion and a parade. I embellished the details there, but you get my point. The flip sort of marvelly internet talk, and then making sure you knew he was joking at the end of it is
right.
Classic distilled Weir.
Own it, man. Own it.
To which he then does it immediately 2 sentences later. I turned my head inside the helmet.
Yes.
Turned my head inside the helmet, bit a nipple, parentheses, try not to get excited, and sucked some water out. God. Oh, my comment there. Who is this for?
I wrote, and I'm sorry, there's a swear in this. I said, hey, man, I'm sick of this shit. Stop accusing me of being the person you are. I'm not you. I don't think that way.
Imagine if you were if he was doing it as stand-up comedy. So there was an actual crowd that would he'd say, I bit a nipple. And maybe there'd be one guy who's and he has it in his routine that he's rehearsed, being like, hey, ho, whoa, come on, hey, try not to get so excited. It's on you. It's the brain out of the gutter, and people are like, we didn't say anything. You just said nipple. You didn't make a joke. Hey, I don't come down to the gunk factory and tell you how to evaporate the gunk, Irishman. Let's just make the fanfic canon.
Oh, look at this guy over here. He's really excited about the nipple. Hey, calm down, Baldy.
No, I got a text message from our babysitter. Our kid threw up. Please stop talking to me. So yeah, that's what he's doing. It's just it's stand up without the actual reactions built in.
Right.
And this is what I was talking about before. She's running out to get to these machines. I gave a mighty grunt and started climbing. 5 meters at a 45-degree angle. It might not seem like much, especially in lunar gravity. But when you're wearing 100 kilograms of EVA suit and hauling another 50 of equipment, believe me, it's work. So he built up the gravity to the point where it's all we talked about. And then as soon as it becomes important, it's immediately undercut. It's incredible.
Yeah, running upstairs is nothing whatsoever. Don't even care. But hey, man, when you're wearing a suit. So the smelter. Here's one where I just said, like, if I were a teacher, I would just circle it 3 times with the red pen and rethink this. The what are they called? Reactor? No, what are they?
Harvesters.
Harvesters. The harvester moves and picks up some rocks or something, and then she says, having taken a good dump, the basin returned to level and the harvester sat idle. I just circle that 3 times and go, nah, don't do that.
We're not going to be doing this, man.
Yeah, again, no one's happy with that. I'm your teacher. I'm not happy. You can't be happy. You can't leave that there. But nope, editor left that in.
Yeah. Sir, look at this, and then look at the picture you have framed of you and Ridley Scott, who directed Alien, on the wall from when you were on the red carpet at the Oscars. Just think about what Ridley Scott would say if he read this, and I want you to just think about that and be ashamed. Yes. I mean, that's the context here.
Sit there and you think about that. Don't take that flat cap off. You chose that. You leave that on your head, sir.
Here's a really good back. My plan was working. I giggled like a little girl. Hey, I'm a girl, so it's allowed. Besides, no one was watching. I pulled an aluminum stock rod from the duffel, climbed at the top of the harvester, held it out like a sword. Onward, mighty steed! And remember, if she gets caught, she immediately will be deported, and she won't be able to walk on Earth, by the way. Onward we went. The harvester stopped southwest from the Moltke foothills at the breakneck speed of 5 kilometers per hour. I watched the smelter bubble and reactors disappear in the distance and grew uneasy again. Don't get me wrong. This wasn't the farthest I've been from the Shire or anything. Blah, 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 blah. This was the furthest I've ever been from safety. It's like...
Oh, it's just hard not to make, double middle fingers as you read it and just press them up against the book.
But I mean, do people want it? I mean, and I understand that people are they could be like, you guys make Lord of the Ring jokes. At least they're jokes that have context. I feel like they'd be somewhat warranted. It's not just pulling walking on stage stand up routine and being like, the Shire, oh. Hey, hold up a finger. Tom Bombadil.
It looks like, they're flashing me the light. Looks like I'm just about out of time. Charlie bit my finger. All right, I'll see you guys.
See you later. Thank you. Been a great audience. Chocolate rain. Tip your waitress. Good night.
Yes, it is just like putting stuff in. It doesn't... there's no context where it makes any sense or makes a joke or improves things. It hurts everyone it touches.
It does.
Okay, so now we get into the actual plan, and I don't understand this.
The nefarious plan, as she calls it.
Yeah, it's very nefarious, obviously. She's, twirling her mustache and strapping people to the monorail line every time we're... Nell.
That'll teach you to call it a monorail.
You trust fund kid. A huge boulder destabilized by the fresh hole at its base, tipped forward onto the tanks, A pathetic fart of air, escaped from underneath, briefly kicking up dust. Then there was nothing, and that was the end of my reserve air tanks. Oh, come on, I yelled.
Does the pure Joe Bluth.
Come on. Goo, 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 goo. I just don't get what's going on. Do you know what's happening here?
Hard to say. I mean, she was like trying to do something, but she had left her some of her oxygen tanks in the span of a boulder. But I don't really know.
Why was there a huge boulder was destabilized by a fresh hole at its base? Was there a hole in the base of the rock, or a hole where the rock was?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe the harvester moved it. Maybe that was what the harvester harvested, was a rock. That's got to be it.
All right. Well, I just hope she's got the big purse she had. Because I'm confused about the plan.
Right.
The wax, the holes, the pressure valves. I don't know what's going on.
And it's best not to really to suss it out, because, like I said in the last episode, that the getting people out of the fire, I was like, that's okay. That you could imagine that being a cinematic scene. This widescreen welding action, to me, does not carry the same praise. I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm glad you feel the same way. I thought too about like using an oxyacetylene torch to cut a small hole into a wax reserve on a machine does not. Yeah, again, briefcase in the corner. The FBI agent, if he sees it, you're busted. Let's make this more simple, please.
Well, this might help. This was a cut, not a join. When you cut, you aren't melting metal. You actually turn it into an oxidized gas. Yeah, it's that hot. That's some of the cinematic welding we get there.
I took welding in high school. I don't know if I ever mentioned that.
Wow.
So oxyacetylene.
Do you have a Saudi background? That doesn't check out.
You did not know about my Saudi background?
Very interesting.
I'm wearing a hijab right now. Strange that you didn't know that. I should have probably brought that up at another time. But there was I'll tell this very brief story.
Okay.
When we were learning about oxyacetylene welding and cutting, my instructor said, this oxyacetylene is nothing to mess with. Like I knew a guy who was teaching a class, and he set the oxyacetylene torch down in a tank, and it wasn't on, but it was slowly leaking. Okay. And then someone sparked, blew up the whole classroom. He's dead. We're like, okay.
Wow.
This is just day one. I'm just trying to learn how to, cut some metal or something. But
wow,
it made a huge impression. Like, it's nothing to mess with there, boys. Like, okay.
And that's coming from a shop teacher who's probably like missing a finger or two, and like, the grizzled park instructor that was on the in Artemis Park.
There was actually a guy that was crimping metal and lost a finger in our class.
Oh,
and he's
my
like,
God.
Calm down, boys. Calm down. The guy's like, ah.
Wow. Well, maybe that guy who blew up the lab was just there to smoke some weed he bought off a tourist. I don't know.
Yeah, so a little spark went out from his pipe. Sure.
Well, she's doing welding, and she's saying stuff like, if I screwed up, a blob of molten metal would fall on me and bore a hole straight through my suit. Holes in EVA suits are bad. And then I got as far as to this side as I could. If I screwed up, maybe the aluminum droplet of doom would miss me. That's also camel case, like the bed just didn't want to leave.
Yep.
And there I had the thought, and it did not bear out, but I was like, it would redeem these first 5 chapters if it actually did fall on her and killed her, and the guy pulled sort of like a Psycho, with Janet Leigh. And it was like the rest of the book was about the Vietnamese guy who's in prison that the Mountie kicked the crap out of. Like that would have been pretty incredible. Like this,
maybe a fully redeemed Sean comes back as the hero of the book. Yeah, it had some bad times, man. But
yeah. He's taken up work as a social worker or something, and that's going to be. But it doesn't happen. She gets out of there. She solves the problem immediately, avoids the thing, and gets to the dastardly part of her plan. So it's become...
and then because she's trying to get around the there are fuses that protect the batteries that are in the harvesters, and she puts scare quotes around it's the fuse that protects the batteries. Like, well, that is a fuse, right? why are you making us go like, oh yeah, call that a fuse? Like, no, it's the thing like a fuse that protects the battery.
Great.
Why are we being angry at fuses?
She just has so much attitude, I guess, that she doesn't know when to turn it off as she's doing this life or death mission. And I was like, yeah, like as she's doing all these quips and stuff. It's like it's annoying when Tony Stark does it, but at least he does have superpowers, you know? Like he does know that he's probably going to be immune to a lot of the stuff that these, guys shooting beams at him are throwing at him. So that's why he's like, let's get some help around here. Like, I mean, but when she does it, it's like, you'll die or you'll be imprisoned. Like
right.
You have nothing but your own wits as a apprentice welder to go on here.
My favorite Tony Stark improv, by the way, Robert Downey Jr. improv, obviously, that they left in the movie, was him like scuttling around his, doing his shtick and doing this. But he had a bag of dried blueberries, and he kept offering blueberries, and that was just it. There was no gag. It was just like, blueberry? Now, what we need to do is, and then turn to someone else, blueberry? Like,
I remember.
Hey,
that.
Robert Downey, he's eating blueberries on set. Wouldn't it be fun to sort of bring that into the movie?
Epic. Build it into the lore.
It would not be fun at all. It would be confusing and weird and stupid and, yeah. It would be Weirian, may I say.
Weird, yes, very much so. It flashes back to what she has done to set up an alibi while she's out here, which I found very amusing. The alibi-o-mat poked at my gizmo screen with little probes that had the same capacitance as a human finger. So she has used the same scheme that Homer Simpson used with the little drinking bird to try to maintain his computer while he went out to do something. He went to go see a movie called Honk If You're Horny, which I think could be
nice.
Andy Weir's bumper sticker.
Yes.
And it reminded me, if I could tell a little story, there was in freshman year of college, so this was probably 1999 or 2000, there was a little also ran internet money-making scheme, which I didn't really realize when I was looking this up. I just sort of went through the dot-com boom at college without any real sense of what was going on or caring and all that,
Sure.
None of it was big enough to hit me. I wasn't ordering pets.com, and I had no stocks, so it didn't matter at all. So I didn't really when people talk about that didn't cross my radar as being what I was doing when I was a freshman. But this was a site called All Advantage. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
It you would sign up for it, and it was sort of a pyramid scheme, but it would put a little lower 1/8 bar on the bottom of your screen that would show ads as you were browsing the web. And based on how much time you spent, it would give you money, which as a freshman in college, it was like, this is a way to get $30 a month. This is absolute gold. But you didn't really want to have to look at these ads. So I rigged something that would move your mouse around and click as you would sleep, so that it would think you were, had browsed the web for 8 hours, and it would occasionally go to other websites and stuff. But
making money while you sleep, that's the dream.
It was awesome. And so it lasted all of 3 months. I got one check from it. It was tremendous. But that's the scheme she has going on here, the All Advantage drinking bird.
That's right. That's what Svoboda did for her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Svoboda's device, he had named it the Alibi-o-mat.
Svoboda.
But while she's underneath the thing, she says that the harvester was heavy enough to squish me like a grape. So that's more gravity working out the way that we've been told it with the whole book. And as she's disabled a couple of them, another one comes up to it and says, "It didn't dig, it didn't load, it just looked at me."
Mm-hmm.
Its high resolution camera refocused slightly as I stood up. I'm not sure if that's same as high def or not, but we'll have to parse what those things mean in 2082.
Mm-hmm.
And it says it could only mean one thing: someone at Sanchez Aluminum had taken manual control of this harvester. They'd spotted me. Dun dun dun.
Yes, I noted that. It looked at me. It could mean only one thing. They'd spotted there's 6. Yep, got it.
Right,
got
yes.
it. Thing looked at you. Could have ended with that. Got it. Machine looking at you. Well, there's no way around it. We're at the moment, right?
Oh, I've never been so excited. All right, so yeah, everyone at home, just big. Refill your cup of coffee. You're just going to want to be drinking it, I think, throughout this. Seltzer if you're not on caffeine. Anything you want. I mean, have a beer. I think you might need it after this.
Yeah, I would also, there are those of you who might prefer to fill your mouth with mashed potatoes and just wait to hear this moment. All right, let's go.
If you're listening on your phone, have it up to your ear and be having a conversation with someone, just being like, 1 second, I've just got to take this, and then listen to what we're about to read to you.
Be at a library and listening to it with a very, very cranky a librarian from like an 80s video with a ruler spanking it in her hand and tilting her glasses down and looking at you. Just be ready for that as well.
Kitty glasses, yep.
Yeah.
Here we go. She's writing to Kelvin and Jazz. He's worried she hasn't heard through him, and I thought this was a good boring sentence of the week. I found your father's email address through his welding business website and contacted him. Do not worry, it does not stay boring. She says, Dear Kelvin, do you want to read this or should I?
Please do. I know this is one of your favorite things ever, so I want you to have this.
Dear Kelvin, sorry you got worried. I wish you hadn't contacted Dad. Things have not gone well lately. Last month, Sean got a visit from an angry mob. About 15 guys. They beat the shit out of him.
All right, I got to take a sip of water for the next.
Sure, yes. At that point, I thought this was just funny, but he wouldn't talk about it afterwards, but I knew what it was about. It's a thing people do here. It's called a morals brigade. It's somewhat chilling to hear Saudi Arabian talk about that, but we'll move on. Some things really piss people off. Enough that they'll form up and punish you, even though you didn't break any laws. Sean is a horny guy. I knew that. And I knew he had other girls. 1 second.
Take a big sip here.
Yep.
Here we go.
But I didn't know he was screwing a 14-year-old.
Oh!
Whew.
Oh,
spicy
hang on.
meatball.
Let me go back. I'm looking right at it, but obviously you misread that, and it is a typo. So I will
taking my glasses off and cleaning them to.
I will read it again. Let's back up a little bit. Sean is a horny guy. I knew that. I knew he had other girls. He had about a dozen guys. But I didn't know he was screwing a 14-year-old. I guess you didn't misread that.
Sorry for everybody if you, we told you to drink water. We should have said, have a towel ready to clean up, your monitor or the person next to you on the train that you're listening to this. It's, So, but all right. So we've moved on. I think you sounded like you were sort of choking a bit there too. You might want to take another sip of water.
Okay, I will. Let me take a giant sip of water. The worst is over. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got people from all over Earth here. Different cultures have very different sexual morals. So Artemis doesn't have age of consent rules at all. As long as it's not forced, it's not rape, and the girl was consenting.
What is happening on the moon?
Well,
we need to get control of this.
What's happening is we're not savages here. You might not get deported to Earth, but you'll definitely get your ass kicked. I assume some of them were the girls' relatives. I don't know. So this is a lot to unpack, I think. It's not unfair to say that.
It is a lot, and should we start by going back to her earlier statement?
Sure.
That no one, where is it? I'm sorry, I'm looking back at my notes. Do you have it there? Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. We don't care what people do, sex-wise, as long as everyone's a consenting adult. All right, that's a direct quote.
All right, so if that's the sign that welcomes people to the Earth, it should have. By the way, we do very much care. In fact, there are squads, morals brigades of about 15
brigades
that very much object to you having sex with underage people, even though we have very different sexual morals. But we do have sexual morals, I'd say, because you have mentioned that you have devout Jews who are at temple on Saturday. You have extremely devout Muslims who are building so accurate prayer mats that they're able to face Mecca because they're so concerned about that. So did they just get outvoted like at these meetings where we explicitly decided not to have age of consent laws?
Do they sort of off the record consult the Morals Brigade that I assume is run by, is it Rudy, the
Mountie? Yeah,
the Mountie who rabbit punches people who fall off the morals wagon. So does he lead the group and come? I mean, I'm just picturing the Kill a Mockingbird crowd outside the jail, like.
Yeah, or don't they beat in The Godfather? They beat up his sister's husband because they found him screwing around, kind of thing. Like Sonny goes and takes care of that.
So yeah, it's hard to get a picture of what's happening here, but it's all very, very confusing. That the moon is, in one sense, it's just a commune, kind of anyone with anyone at any time, except for the age of consent. But then we learn that they don't have age of consent rules.
Yeah, and they care about them deeply, because like no one cared that the Vietnamese guy beat his wife until the Mountie had to take care of that on his own. As the Judge Dredd, he's the law, he's the judge, jury, and executioner.
Did he email the Morals Brigade later? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, right.
Where were you?
Yeah, really could have used some help out there. Like. Morals Brigade. We were playing the honor guard in softball that day. Like,
I mend metal that day. Work at machine. Can't beat man nearly to death. So sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, schmuckfla.
But the dignified, the Kenyan president, I assume she was carrying herself with like a regal dignity. She isn't up there being like, hey, we had another mass beating by a Morals Brigade. Should we really just codify this? Like, it seems like it's a weird thing to let mob justice endorse because everyone seems pretty on the same page here that it's not a good thing. Like, again, is this going to be something that has an impact later in the story? Or is it... Because if it is... Bad news, bad judgment, guy. Like, look at the picture of you and Ridley Scott. Or is it just sort of a joke here? Because also, like, bad judgment, look at the picture of you and Ridley Scott. Either one is not good.
It is funny that you mentioned the president. Like, imagine her, at a podium making her speech to people with crossed arms on either side of her, and like. I am very proud of all that we have done in this community, and then she looks down and sees the Morals Brigade like there with pipes in their hands. Like, guys, could you move to the back? Like, do you have to sit up front every time?
Your presence loom large already. I will not lie. Like,
there's still some of Sean's blood on that one club you're carrying there. Come on, man, a little bit of his hair.
What is amazing is that like this is a very much like a Bitcoin guy way of thinking. I am pretty sure that there was one like I think maybe I don't know if it was real life or metaverse community where a bunch of crypto guys like were like going to create this paradise. They were going to buy the island, whatever. But like what undid it was that too many Bitcoin guys were like. And there'll be no age of consent laws, right? Like this is a true, like free society. People were like, what? Like, and so even that was enough to undo that. So to think that you would get to the moon with like dignitaries from all over the world, and then that would happen here is just a bizarre, no other way to put it. And then we get this information. It says, how could I not see what Sean was? I'm only 17, and he was hot for me for day one. Turns out I'm on the older end of his preference range. So,
yeah, just leave that where it is.
Yeah. What if you didn't do
what
this
she
in the
said
book?
about him earlier?
Yeah. What if you didn't? What if you didn't put this in? What would change? What would you lose? It's bizarre. I can't describe it any other way.
I mean, just again, circle that whole thing and go like, no, 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 and then have the arrow going down to, dear Kelvin, I'm living on gunk. Gross. Gunk is crazy. Like, okay. So forget everything about beatings and morals brigades and deeply immoral age of consent laws.
Yeah. Two paragraphs ago, they were writing emails that was just like, "Dear Jazz, boobs." And now we're here.
We're to this.
His sister has an unexpected pregnancy that she has to drop out of school for. Her dad's not going to be able to retire. Like, everything's going poorly. He doesn't address her other concerns here, being like, what's going on up there on the moon? Like, get your act together. But it's will the underage thing get bleary on it? We'll see.
Prediction, of course.
Of course, yeah. That's just that's supposed to be a joke, right? That's just a
joke is a strong.
Oh, it's good. It's so good.
Wow.
Well, chapter 6.
Chapter 6. Yeah, this is a lot of
just
action set piece kind of thing, but not even action. I don't know. Well, let's go. Chapter
Things
6.
happen. Yeah, but I think there was a lot of action that we can gloss over.
Sure.
And so she does a little mental play about what the EVA guys were doing when they talked to Sanchez Aluminum. Do you want to I'll just read it.
Yeah,
Sanchez controllers.
Yeah.
Hey, why are you fucking with our harvester? EVA masters. We're not. Sanchez. Well, someone is. EVA masters. We'll go kick their ass. Not because we care about you, but because we want to continue our stranglehold monopoly on EVAs. Also, we're a bunch of assholes. It's like, yeah, how dare the guys who provide the whole colony with oxygen not want sabotage to happen to their to their fleet here?
I have the exact same thing written down, and also, like, doesn't he undermines that, like, well, that was I was editorializing there or something, like, God. But immediately there's hauling ass.
Oh yeah, she hauls ass again.
Ugh.
She calls somebody an ass wipe. The ass wipes that Sanchez had made the harvester smack me with its front loader scoop. And,
to which she says, do you have, quote, what she says there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, what is it?
She says, "Woo?" WHU, question mark.
Woo? I said. I mean, right? Stephen King would just have like, boo, bajang, boosh.
Sure.
Woo? I said?
Woo?
Okay.
Yeah.
She said that when she got smacked by the ass
loader.
wipes.
Yeah. That's pure 50-year-old man writing a 22-year-old like a 13-year-old is
right.
Calling someone an ass wipe. And what she does is she's snipped the antennas on these harvesters so that even though she hasn't like blown them up yet, they're unable to communicate with those dipshittery factory back at Sanchez Aluminum. And yeah, so then she hauls ass when she's going to set him up to blow him away. And,
that's because she had a Killdozer to deal with.
Oh, right. Yep. That was nice.
Which, again, good to know that a 22-year-old woman on the moon, strict conservative Saudi Arabian woman on the moon who lives in a coffin, is still watching Clint Walker TV movies from 1974. That's good to know, and still keeping those fresh in her mind.
Wow. I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know what it was.
Just a TV movie.
About an evil bulldozer?
Yeah, it gets hit by a meteorite, and then goes on a killing spree.
Amazing.
On an island.
Well, it's a good thing it didn't just cause a short circuit and killed her, because otherwise the battery might short and it would be absolutely shitting heat.
Oh, yes.
Which is a description she uses of how she's blowing these things up. And this is some good sciencey talk, glib, Weir sciencey talk. Oh, right, I'd said. I'd forgotten to account for the other explosive in there, the hydrogen fuel cell battery. All that hydrogen had met the oxygen at a high temperature, and they'd had a brief chat. That's going to become something for a soundboard at the end of this podcast. Just a disgusted sigh for our 372 soundboard. But I was like, if I had to think about like the Hindenburg guy, if he was a shitty internet-y writer, like describing that one, be like, oh, the humanity! I have all the feels right now. The Hindenburg is going down like a flaming bag of dicks, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, this does not win the internet. Oh, the pits of despair. I am in you. Oh.
Oh, here comes a heckin' cute doggo. Oh. Here's another one. Get ready to...
oh, I'm ready. I think I know what it is.
Get your sound ready, your disapproval sound. Vacuum's refusal to convey sound is a real pain in the ass. Oh, God. Norman groans.
It
all
is
around.
very much like, I'm just like resting my head on my steering wheel right now. How about this one? I prepared each of the last remaining harvesters for kaboominess. Ah! Yeah, we could be replaced probably by the end of this one.
Okay. That's the one I have. Is anyone happy with this next to? But this one, here you go. Get ready with your sound. I knew what you had to do. I just didn't like it. I'd have to blow the remaining two at the same time. Please don't quote me that last sentence out of context.
Wow. Yes, I mean, the fanfic, like, it replicated that one as easy as anything else. Like, that's how bad of a trick that is. That's what she said joke is essentially what he's doing here over and over again. Oh, man. And then for the third time, here's what we do here. I stood at one harvester and looked at the other 20 minutes away. This would be tricky. A long, rational part of my brain piped up. Was this really a good idea? 1 million slugs. Yep, I'm fine.
Yep.
God. But she blows up, I think, 3 of them. She tries to blow the last 2, but 1 doesn't blow up, so that's a problem. Big problem here because because she's been contracted to do all 4, and she's not going to get her million slugs if she doesn't do that. But she says, minor problem. I think the guys are approaching. They're in their lunar rovers and are driving towards her.
Yeah, they're chasing her down.
And she says, minor problem with running away from people on the moon. Your footprints are very obvious. And she says, in order to do this, she starts hopping from rock to rock using that lower than usual moon gravity. She says, I jumped to the next one and so on. I continued my high-stakes game of the floor is lava for the next 20 minutes. So I'm glad that they were still playing that as children. That does persist, though. 4-year-olds are still pretending that things are lava.
Sure. I believe that is an actual TV show, too.
Yeah, it was a game show during, April of 2020. They were like, we need some new TV. Open the dregs of the vault. And that was one they had in there that was like... someone being like, I was on a game show. Whatever happened to it? Oh, it was so terrible they decided they'd never show it. And then they were like, yep, put that one on the air.
All right, here's I'll finally get to it. If I skipped anything, just go back. Her swearing.
Okay.
Again, there's a slight content warning.
Okay.
Shit, damn, crap, ass, son of a bitch. It's important to vary your profanities. If you use the same one too often, it loses strength. I fumed in my suit for a minute more, then calmed down and got to scheming. I can't. There are galaxies of rage exploding inside of my head.
Yeah. If you don't vary them, it loses its strength. If you use a bunch of different ones, kind of ineffective too.
Supposed to be cute like that? You say a bunch of... Oh, I can't even... All right.
Based on some other fan fiction we got, He doubles down on this
okay.
Epic profanity construction. And so he gets back to scheming, and this is at some point in time I was like, so when these EVA guys, they know nothing about this, but there's a town of 2,000 people, all these tourists. This is what provides them with their oxygen, right?
Yes.
So as they're going out
this
here,
is their job. They are charged with protecting this. So
right. And so someone's trying to take these out. They're like, this is an act of terrorism. Like, what other thought would you be having here? Like, so, when she's saying, like, I calmed down and got to scheming. like, Timothy McVeigh is piloting his, truck, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm perpetrating my scheme. It's like, no, they think that you are like trying to kill everyone on the moon in like an agonizing fashion. Like, this is, you're the FBI's most wanted terrorist. So like ditch the nefarious scheme kind of talk.
Yes, it's true. Like, you are enemy number one. You are very evil. Yeah.
Muhammad Atta steepling his fingers as he goes, like that type of like, no, you're like the worst person on the moon in terms of these guys. Like, they have absolutely no regard for this. I wanted to make sure that my epic win was going to be FTW and not a total WTF.
Look at these butt wipes trying to stop me from killing the entire moon population. Jackasses. Another question of which is going to be asked a lot: is anyone happy about this? Mm-hmm. It's one thing to wander around on a bubble hull, but if I climbed on the glass of Aldrin Park right in front of people's faces, it would raise a few eyebrows. Mommy, why is Spider-Man on the moon? No thanks. Is anyone happy with that? That's the question stands.
Yes. And is the mom concerned that like the moon atmosphere is getting to her kid, that he sees a person in a spacesuit and thinks Spider-Man, possibly the most distinctive costume that's ever existed?
Yes.
Oh God, the gravity, which I've been told is 1/6 Earth, is affecting my son or daughter. Let's get him out of here very quickly. Plus, we've all been informed that an act of terrorism is actively occurring. So, or as she refers to it, I was perpetrating a caper.
Mommy, when was Spider-Man created? In the 40s, I think, honey. Okay, just checking my math. I don't know if that's correct. Forgive me.
It probably is maybe a decade or two off, but like, who knows? And also, who cares?
Right.
But what's his name? Bob is there. He's doing his rounds, and she tries to get out of here, but hits the ground hard and completely off balance. Or as she says, I landed like a sack of shit. So which was pretty amazing. Like,
which someone should start eating soon and grinning, right?
Very much so. I don't know what, that's usually not something, a sack of potatoes, I think, is like the oafish, landing type of thing. Like sacks of shit. Or,
I'm going to put a little spin on it, like a big sack of onions. I don't know. Make your
potatoes. Like,
yeah.
I think that was what the guy grew in The Martian, so that would be kind of a fun in-universe tie-in. But nope, sack of shit. We're going to imagine what that landing sounds like.
Get another proper noun that I can hate on. Attack of the moon woman who made bad life decisions.
Oh, God. That's also...
all caps. Yeah, all caps. Not all caps, but, camel caps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in order to get out, she grabs onto the train and sort of like, lets the train haul ass for her as she goes back to like where the civilians will be getting off at the moon base, so that she's able to hop on back through an airlock, because none of these ones would open for her, or they'd tell that she was. Or no, the guys were all blocking the airlocks, so she takes the train back to the Apollo landing site, because that's the one place that she doesn't think they'll have sent guys to. Even though, again, biggest act of terrorism in Artemis's history, they probably would have thought about stationing a guy at every entrance.
It would have been, the red klaxons sounding, for like full city alert, everyone.
Yeah, that or every train is grounded. We're not moving anything.
Yeah, we're all dead. Lock everything down. This is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of this moon thing. But in the middle of that, we get this, and I'm just going to read it without comment. Anyway, I had just enough to pay deposit and first month on a capsule domicile. It's so small, I have to step outside to change my mind. Rim shot. The rim shot's parenthetical, by the way.
Yes, rim shot is parenthetical and exclamation marked. So, yeah, Henny Youngman. It feels like it's disrespectful to say Rodney Dangerfield, but like.
Maybe early, again, like the Jackie Gleason show. There's a new upcoming comedian. Let's hear what he had to say. You get no respect. A room's so small, I had to go outside to change my mind. I love this guy. A new star.
Hey, and what's up with you sleep with one 14-year-old? All of a sudden, you got the Morals Brigade outside your house.
Oh. I mean, the clubs were raining down on me. I mean, bits of my skull. I get no respect. No respect.
But yeah, that was her last email to the guy. She essentially takes the train to the thing. She gets off. She cleans her moon suit. She says, "I may be a smuggler, saboteur, and all around asshole, but I'd never leave my EVA suit duty." And then she says she walks into the thing. She thinks she got away with it, except it wasn't salvation. It was shit. I stepped into shit. The smile on my face quickly changed to a freshly caught carp expression, which is oddly expressive and specific.
Would she have seen carps on the moon?
That's a very good question. Maybe she watches a lot of catfish noodling videos.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because Dale stood in the antechamber, his arms folded with a half smirk on his face. So she's been busted by Irock, the devout Jew. And that's how this section ends.
Except I don't get the ending. I mean, I think I do, but I want people to hear it.
Okay.
Dear Kelvin, you're a loadmaster in training. Does that mean you sometimes set up cargo pods unsupervised? Because there are a lot of people in Artemis who smoke. Dear Jazz, I'm listening. So well, the nerdy guy is going to become a smuggler?
The nerdy guy's they're going to be the guy who packs the cigars for her, I guess.
That just seems... That's a turnaround I did not expect, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, he's very clumsily had him be like, the tragedies that have befallen my... I mean, he writes like a Civil War guy, like the tragedies that have befallen my beloved family are numerous to mention, as numerous as the stars in the sky. My younger sister is 6 months pregnant. My father is unable to work, and my mom cannot work. My blah blah blah. So she's set up his desperation to turn him off of this moral, intelligent path that he's on.
I shall, instead of playing 3-level chess at the park with the masters, I shall take a box of cigars that I got from a guy who said they were Cuban, but I think he just took the rings off and put new ones on. I will mail those to you with no tax stamp on them.
Right, yes.
And that will solve all my problems.
Yeah, and he's been going through like the civil service training to get this job, an apprentice, like working to provide a good, honest, living for his family. But yeah, it goes out the window pretty quickly. One more thing from their letters. Yeah, he just says, she's talking to Dale. He was shocked at my situation and offered to lend me some money. I assumed it was a play to get into my pants, so I turned him down. I don't have a problem with prostitutes, but I don't want to be one. So just, all right. I mean, sexual morality on the moon. My thesis for my PhD here.
I'd hate to have to chart it, but yes. How does it work?
Right, and the laws of it, the evolution. Just whoever put the flag down got to say it. So a crypto guy did it, and prostitution's legal. I beat everybody else here, so it's all my stuff.
But out of curiosity, could if someone had the money, if you had Musk money, Moon Musk money, mm-hmm. Could you plop some domes down, pump them with oxygen, like right next to the canyon, right?
Oh, right, yeah,
and just go like, yeah, this is Bolivia's dome. Our rules are this. You want to come over? Yeah. Here, we'll extend a little plastic tent. You can come over, and you wouldn't believe what goes on here. I mean, right? They can't say anything. Like, who owns the...
Yeah, they
didn't buy it.
That's a very good question, because they did sort of say the reason Kenya got their foot in the door because they had, like, the equator, so you could take off with less... It was less expensive...
Right,
and then propel your rockets up.
And then she was impressive because she was a good money raiser.
Yep, she united all the countries and stuff. So
Yeah, but it seems like anyone who, Shark Tank that idea and just go, what's to stop me, Mr. Wonderful, from building his own domes up there, huh? It's like, I don't know. I guess there's nothing.
they're setting up their tents, and the Kenyan president is like, moral police? You guys want to help us out here? They're like, nah, we're good.
I don't want to put my suit on just to go out there and beat a guy. I'll just watch from the window.
All right, that's the end of chapter 6. Just so much going on, and so much frustration going on, but some just unexpected things as well. I hope that the rest of the book is full of stuff like that, because truly, what sets it apart from your average bad book. And if you're trying to write a bad book, just like the way you try to write a bad movie, not things you'd think to include.
Weir, if you're listening, can we get you on the podcast? Maybe talk through some of these choices. All right, sounds good.
I don't know. I don't know
I don't know either.
Maybe his buddy can be the intermediary here.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Have a little cushion.
Let's end with some dumb beloved Patreon supporters at 372pages.patreon.com. Join the fun. Maybe if we do interview Weir, that's where it's going.
Oh, boy.
No promises. Here's the first one from Harris. We probably covered a lot of these. By the way, we also hate it when people call us loonies, or when they call Artemis the city in space. And their comment was, more horrible world building. This did go through an editing process. He could have integrated those gripes more naturally, instead of as an awkward aside, as though he was panicking during an oral presentation. This one was submitted by 3 people, Mike T., Craig, and John, which is, of course, the city shines into sunlight like a bunch of metallic boobs. And one of them said, it's the kind of world building you rarely get outside of a Naked Gun movie. And yeah, I could imagine that in Leslie Nielsen's voice.
Yes.
Justin and Amanda both submitted, this one got a heavy sigh from us, I prepared each of the remaining harvesters for kaboominess. Michael submitted a simple I digress, which he said, if you're incapable of stopping due to some degrees, at least make the digressions interesting. He said, I would have never allowed myself to dream there was a Klein clone out there, but damn, Andy Weir's beer was held by someone else as he wrote this.
That's a good one.
Cynthia, John, and Elliot all submitted, you might be wondering how a simple remote-controlled unit could send radio waves capable of penetrating an Artemis hull. And pretty much all of them added, no, we really weren't. And we know you'll just hand-wave it away immediately, which you do.
You're probably wondering.
Cynthia added she wanted to do dumb sentence edited by a woman. She wanted to change, I stretched my arms out and arched my back, to just say I stretched. That's what all you really need there. Harrison submitted, I fired off the funds transfer and she accepted. And he said, do you really fire off a Venmo payment? Elizabeth and George submitted the previously covered life's a pain in the ass when you have a cop constantly on your ass. So, I mean, someone said this was edited. We cannot be sure based on that sentence. Theodore submitted, I don't remember what this was in reference to, but who says there's no such thing as an Artemisian citizen? And he said, at no point has anyone said or even implied that the people who live in Artemis aren't citizens. I have no idea what he's getting at here. Jenny submitted, water is one of the best heat absorbers in chemistry. And it just says it's like a 6th grader wrote it last minute for a science paper in chemistry. Like in a chemistry class, like what are about it absorbs heat better than most substances in nature. Like Hayden submitted, I turned my head inside the helmet, bit a nipple, try not to get excited, and sucked some water out. They said, I think Weir is actively trying to force the reader to quit the book. Dawn submitted, holes in EVA suits are bad. Janelle submitted, no sex on the grass. I think that was the 80-year-old groundskeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Mike submitted, this one was good because I didn't notice it. It was just it's a reference to the train. It was just a single car, not the long-ass not the long-ass trains Earthers are used to. And he said, okay, Little Miss Pedantic, who just called out tourists for saying monorail because there are 2 tracks. If there's only one car, it's not a train at all. It's a locomotive. So that's nice nitpicking we glossed over. And then also Mike said, this was just a fun little aside. He said, I also pulled up next to the workshop of Dad's colleague, Zolska Strobel, who was apparently named during a severe vowel famine. And Mike said, the name has more vowels than John Smith. So that wouldn't be funny for someone who would think non-European names would be unusual, let alone someone who is supposed to be a Saudi Arabian living in a multicultural city populated entirely by recent immigrants. So that was a good comparison, I thought. Do you have anything we didn't cover?
No, it's all covered. Except maybe for that. No, they were covered.
I have one that we did not. This was during some of the welding scenes, so you excuse me for not covering it because there was so much great stuff there to discuss. But that oxygen made the metal flex go ape shit.
Wow.
Incredible.
He's staying on brand.
Yeah, I don't think it's switching up. I think the brand is strong, and that's what we're in for. I think we're 2/5 of the way through this one, so man, a lot more to come. And chapter 16 to look forward to. Great stuff covered in all the real or fanfic. Who knows what else is going to be referenced from the 20th century? I can't wait to see.
And I can't imagine, like, as you were reading this, it's like, obviously he wrote a good book. And so as you read this, you just go, wow, putting on the character, putting on the coat of a really shitty writer who can't write at all. Like, wow, can't wait to read that good book. Of course he didn't write a good book. There's no way he wrote a good book.
Yeah.
It's impossible to imagine with this kind of humor and everything. Like, there's nothing happening here that makes you go, yeah, but this one, he kind of phoned it in or whatever. Like, no, good writers, you still get good prose occasionally, even if it's a bad book. But this is, oof.
Yeah, we got I'll just read this. It was a short email. This was from Amanda. It said, I did read The Martian when it came out, and though I think this is definitely worse, I did not think it was any good at all, so perhaps closer to 372 than you think. Still full of characters quipping and making wisecracks, and most of the rest of it being comprised of telling us the science behind something, then explaining a bad thing that happened to put the main character in peril, and then telling us how he used more science to fix it again, repeat until he is off Mars. So it sounds, nearly identical.
Yes. Okay.
And another guy wrote in a review of the movie of The Martian. It was worth reading, I think. But it's long. But he says, this is the one excerpt. He says, this is from Joseph. That last one was from Amanda. This sort of wittiness, which is genuinely amusing 1/10 of the time, goes on ad infinitum, along with references to disco music, Star Wars, Iron Man, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Three's Company. Reading the novel is too much like spending a number of hours with a precocious and especially self-approving undergraduate science student who aspires to be a stand-up comic. It is hard to believe any human could go through the terrifying and life-altering experiences Weir describes and remain so unrelentingly shallow. So that is just a devastating review. If I find it, I'll link to it because the whole thing was pretty good in terms of like some of the excerpts of The Martian he pulls out on.
It would be fun to write an entire novel and just have the point of view that Klein and he have about the 80s. Like, it's just, there's no question that it's good because I remember it and it's from the 80s. But just do an entire novel, but just pick out really like morally depraved things that we all knew from the 80s or from some other, decade and just go and just quote them as like, as they say in the movie Deep Throat or, just something right. Just horrible and just be like, huh? We're all in on this, right? It's just so weird that they think that because you knew it, therefore it is good? Because
it's what you selectively remember as happy things, right? And yeah, that's all it is. Like, it's that type of thing. It's but yeah, to do that with like, when the FBI flooded the cities with crack rocks, that was as the AIDS epidemic epically spiraled out of control. We were like going to see Empire Strikes Back at midnight.
And right about that time, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer was doing his thing. Am I right, people?
Yeah. They traded arms for hostages the same way we would swap Topps cards. Garbage pail kids. Damn it, that would have been better. I do want to, anyway. While we're doing it, we might there's like very short excerpts from The Martian, so I'll just read them so we can put to rest that some of this was that he's made a bad book after the good one.
Oh, sure.
This was, again, from the review Joseph sent us by a guy named David Walsh. Most of the novel consists of descriptions of various physical and chemical processes, and then Watney's, Matt Damon's, interventions in these processes, sort of how-to manual for surviving in an enormously hostile environment, interspersed with essentially puerile monologues or dialogue. So there you go. The labored jokiness, quote, is particularly grating. A few examples. Problem is, parentheses, follow me closely here, the science is pretty complicated. If I cut a hole in the hab, the air won't stay inside anymore. I tested the brackets by hitting them with rocks. This kind of sophistication is what we interplanetary scientists are known for. But in the end, if everything goes to plan, I'll have 92 square meters of croppable soil. Hell yeah, I'm a botanist. Fear my botany powers.
Oh.
And the last one is back. The last one is back on Earth. Universities and governments are willing to pay millions to get their hands on Mars rocks. I'm using them as ballast. That one's not as bad, but it seems pretty similar to me.
Seems completely on brand. I see no difference whatsoever.
Great. All right. Well,
there you go.
Maybe we can read it for the podcast. Maybe that would be good. Well, thanks everybody. We will be back with you soon. We'll put the assignment in the text here.
Thanks all.